So someone just put a comment on one of my videos saying that cutting Cam Heyward would be bad for team morale. So I kind of want to play devil's advocate to this because I did a little bit of stream about Cam Heyward. There's been reports about Cam Heyward possibly getting cut from the Pittsburgh Steelers and how it would be a good move for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it was Bleacher Report. Somebody from Bleacher, somebody came out with this article. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure it's Bleacher. Whatever it is, what it is, talking about cutting Cam Heyward. Let's be honest, I'm a big fan of Cam Heyward. Hell, Cam Heyward might be my favorite player on the damn team. The guy's been a leader. The man's been the face of the franchise for the past 4, 5, 6 seasons. Been a Pro Bowler. Was graded right up there with Aaron Donald last season and was playing in the elite level. And he's getting elite money. But at the end of the day, he's getting a lot older. And this team is what? A 7-10 team, 6-11 team at best at the end of the day. Maybe if we pull off some kind of miracle, we end up with 8 wins, 9 losses. So this team's got problems, and Cam Heyward's making a lot of money, and big decisions are going to have to be made in the offseason. And someone brought up, is cutting Cam Heyward bad for player morale? I mean, I guess you could say that. I mean, he's a leader in the locker room. He's been one of the best players and one of the faces of the franchises, like I said. But we got the youngest offense in the league right now. A lot of new young faces on defense. And like I said in my last video, TJ Watt locked up for $28 million per year. That's a lot of money that you're paying out to TJ Watt. And for good reason. The man was Defensive Player of the Year. The man broke the record, tied the record, whatever he did. And, TJ is the best outside linebacker in the league. And we got this young, up-and-coming outside linebacker right on the other side of him, and Alex Highsmith. So, I mean, it could kill player morale, firing Cam Heyward, or it could send a message to the team and all these young faces and all these young players that have been getting out of line and going off and saying whatever they want and whatever they can do in the media, because the Pittsburgh Steelers don't operate that way. We don't want jig clowns coming in to our franchise just going around like Antonio Brown making a clown of himself, Le'Veon Bell making a clown of himself, doing stupid shit on social media, Juju Smith-Schuster doing that stupid shit on the media. Pittsburgh is really not about that Hollywood bullshit. I mean, it's a new age with social media and everything, but Pittsburgh just ain't about that Hollywood bullshit. Pittsburgh is about the business. It's about the standard. It's about the legacy. It's about living up and competing and trying to win championships year in and year out, and that's what Pittsburgh does. And that's why Pittsburgh is the greatest franchise in the NFL, because they never say die, and they're always going to try to compete for a championship. So Cam Heyward putting out this quote-unquote butt tweet. I didn't even really talk about this, but he put out the butt tweet about Mike Tomlin, retweeted some negative comments about Mike Tomlin, and, it's got a whole bunch of shit, and he came out and said, oh, it was a butt tweet, it was an accident. You're a professional athlete. I mean, you hire people, you have agents, publicists, PR people, you have all these people surrounding you. And you want to come out here and say you put out a butt tweet about your head coach being a bad head coach, and you're supposed to be the leader of the franchise. You're supposed to be the face of the franchise. And when TJ Watt goes down and our defense is getting ran all over and embarrassed, Cam Heyward wants to come out and put a butt tweet out there. Why don't you step up your play, Cam Heyward? Because you're getting paid like Aaron Donald money, to basically MVP, defensive MVP type caliber money. Why don't you go out there, instead of putting out a quote-unquote accidental butt tweet, why don't you go up there and step up and actually lead this team and put this team on your back, being the veteran leadership, being the veteran presence in the locker room, and not letting teams run amok all over this defense and completely embarrass this defense and put up like 30, I don't know how many times this year, Cam Heyward, instead of putting out a butt tweet. So is cutting Cam Heyward bad for player morale, or does it really make dollars and cents? I mean, it could hurt player morale, but it could light a fire under all these people when they can understand at any given moment that could be them next out the door. out of the door. And like I said, in my last video, cutting Cam Heyward saves the team $9 million in salary cap. He's due like $20 million next year. That's like Aaron Donald type money, and he's at the ass end of his career. I appreciate everything Cam Heyward has done for this franchise, but he's never won a Super Bowl with this franchise. I mean, he's been a good defensive end for this franchise. I mean, he might have a Hall of Fame career, maybe, probably. He's a great nose tackle, but we're rebuilding, and we're a 6-10 squad right now. We're a 7-10 squad right now. Tough decisions are going to have to be made, and if you get rid of Cam Heyward, that's going to force other people, a lot of these young leaders in the locker room, like Najee Harris, who's supposed to be the new face of the franchise, Kenny Pickett, who's being groomed to be the face of the franchise, step up, take control of this locker room, and lead this team in a new direction, because that's really what is happening right now with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're in a transitional phase, and there needs to be new direction. There needs to be a new breed. There needs to be a new guard that steps up and takes over and takes the lead of the franchise. And moving on from Cam Heyward, honestly, might be a good move for the Steelers, because then they'll have a ton of money in salary cap. They'll have good position in the draft, and they can make a lot of moves this offseason. Get rid of Canada, bring in an offensive guru, bring in a good quarterback coach to help Kenny Pickett along the way, get some help up front to protect Kenny Pickett. You got Highsmith still on defense. You got Minka still on defense. You got Watt still on defense. We drafted DeMarvin Lill, who I think was a steal in the 3rd round this year at defensive end. He can play defensive tackle. You can move him around on the defensive line. We still got Wormley on contract. We could bring back Ojanobi. Who knows? I mean, he's not making that much money. And we could draft new guys at the defensive line. And we have a few young guys still at the defensive line, on the defensive line. I think inside linebacker is a more important position for defense and cornerback, because we don't really have a number 1 corner out there. We have a couple good slot guys playing number 1 and 2, and a good slot guy. We have like 3 good 3s, forced to play 1 and 2, and then a good guy in the slot. So somebody just put this comment on my thing. I figured I'd get a little bit of a video up here and talk about it. I mean, $9 million is a lot of money in cap space. That's like an elite inside linebacker in the league. That's what you're getting for Cam Heyward. We get rid of Cam Heyward, you get a new inside linebacker, an elite inside linebacker. And then with the $19 million, we could take that 9, put another 9 on it. You get one of the best left tackles in the league. And that's probably the Steelers' biggest weakness, Dan Moore at left tackle. Honestly, we got Chooks locked up, who I think is pretty good. We got Mason Cole, who's on contract next year, and Daniels on contract to guard next year. You could cut both of those guys right there at the offensive line, and then boom, you can get a better elite offensive lineman for both of them. Get rid of them, cut 2 of them for the price of 1, a better one. Then the offensive line's sealed up. Then you got Pickens, you got Pickett, you got Freiermuth, you got these young offensive weapons. You got Jalen Warren still on contract. And then we got Mitchell Trubisky and Mason Rudolph, so we can make moves this offseason. We'll be right back in the thick of it next year, especially with the Ravens. They still got to sign Lamar, like I said in my last video. They got Lamar going to be wanting a ton of money because they built their whole entire offense around Lamar, so he deserves all the money he gets. He deserves Russell Wilson-type money at this point. Maybe not. I mean, he deserves Patrick. He's up there in the conversation with them. Maybe not as much, but he should be right around like $40 million a year, I would say, at least for Lamar Jackson, at least, especially the way I think Mahomes is making like 50 a year. So Lamar's going to get at least 40 a year. So once they get all that money, all that cap is going to Lamar, we'll see if he's got all those running backs and all that talent on defense and how good the Ravens are, especially if they win the division. When it's looking like they're going to win the division this year, they're going to pull the hardest schedule in the division next year and have the worst draft picks out of the division next year. So, and the Steelers will have one of the easiest schedules, one of the best draft positions, ton of salary cap, ton of rookies on contract, the youngest offense in the league with a lot of good talent coming back on defense. And cutting Cam Heyward might be that move to, gets a little bit more talent on offense and the defense. I think it survived without Cam Heyward, the way Alex Smith's playing this year, Alex Highsmith, and the way the TJ Watt, Minka. Bring Terrell Edmonds back for cheap. Bring Ojinobi back for cheap. Maybe draft a defensive lineman. DeMarvin Lill coming into his second year gets better. Loudermilk coming into his third year gets better. And we'll have some depth at the defensive line. 2 elite outside linebackers. And throw some of that money to a shutdown corner. And that defense is back on top again. And that young offense is just going to have to keep getting better. Week by week, game by game, practice by practice, day by day, step by step. So here we go, Steelers. Got the Atlanta Falcons coming up. I think that's a cupcake, boy. Let's go. Here we go.